guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, it's going to be a little different. It's going to be a sit down video, but it's not going to be a part of the series I've been doing, and it's not like a vlog, it's not a challenge, I'm not doing anything, I'm just going to be talking with you, having a heart to heart. I have not done this on this channel, so this is something new. I hope you guys like it. And honestly though, it's like something that's been really heavy on my heart lately. We've had a few kids commit suicide in the community and surrounding the community, and depression has just is taking so many lives lately, and it's just not fair. And I feel like if you haven't struggled with depression or anxiety, which most people struggle with one if not both, but if you have not, then you don't understand. You understand from an outside perspective, but you don't understand from an inward perspective, and you don't understand I'm already getting started and I shouldn't, but yes, let's just say that's what this video is about. Let's just cue the intro and then we're going to get on into the video. So I guess I should start off with telling you guys a little bit about how I struggled with it. That way you don't think that I'm like lying or just faking it. And a lot of people don't know that I struggled with it. If they watch this video, they'll probably be hearing it for the first time that I do struggle with depression. A lot of people know I struggle with anxiety because it's evident, because my anxiety is pretty bad. But the depression end, they probably don't know. The first time I ever experienced depression personally was my freshman year of college. So I had graduated high school early, and I had started college, and I thought it was going to be great, and I had these expectations of something it was going to be, and then depression hit. The first time it was caused because of a medication that I was taking. So some health issues I have, I was on a certain medication, and that medication caused me to go through a depression, and that was one of the side effects of it, and they had just upped my dose, so we knew that's what it was. Of course, I didn't go, oh, just like one day out of the blue, I didn't say, oh, I must be depressed, that's what's wrong with me, and that's why I feel this way, and so I need to go talk to someone or go get help or seek something. So how it went down was, I had noticed that I was not caring about anything. I would go out to my car in between classes and just sleep. I don't think I ever skipped class intentionally. I didn't just sleep in my car and skip class, but I wouldn't socialize with anybody. I did not study with anyone. I did not have a study group. I only went to the library once the whole entire semester. I just didn't care. I didn't care about human interaction. I didn't care about my schoolwork. I did not care about my future. I did not care. I didn't care about nothing. I would go to school Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and then when I got off, I would go to Walmart and work. I worked in the produce, and I just really wasn't applying myself like I should have been. I was going to my dream college. It was a university. I skipped community college. I skipped the 2 years free. I did all that, and then I threw it away. My mom noticed what was going on, and at this time I'd heard of depression, but I didn't know what depression was, so I was just uneducated on it, I guess. And so my mom had pointed out, maybe you're struggling with depression, or maybe your anxiety is too high, something like this. So I told her what if it was the medication I was on, because the doctor said that was one of the side effects. So I made an appointment with the doctor who prescribed the medication. I went, and they were like, yeah, that's what it is, let's wean you off of it, and then we'll start you on a new one. So I started coming off that, and I started being happy again, but it was too late. I had already failed my semester of college. I had walked out on the job I had. It was not good. So I had already lost all that, but I was getting happier. So I was wanting to be around people. I was wanting to talk. I didn't sleep as much. I was in a better mood. I was applying myself to the job I had gotten after I struggled with this. I went to a community college, and not at a community college, I went to a technical school and got my CNA. Then I got a job at Children's, and everything was good, and I hadn't struggled with it for a long time. And then it hit again. So while I was at work, I was working on a floor that wasn't my floor. I was on night shift, and I could tell that my mental health was not good because of the hours I was working. So on night shift, you work 7 p to 7 a, and it wasn't for me. I was a night owl, but when my friends were up or my family was up and I could talk to them, nobody was up during that time. You barely can have a social life. It was horrible. So I was sitting there one night on one of the computers, and literally I could just like feel the switch in my brain, and I was like, here it goes again. And then the thoughts came into my mind, you should cut yourself. I do not let anyone touch my wrist. My wrists are super sensitive, and if you touch it, I literally gag. I hate my wrist to be touched. I hate the thought of someone cutting themselves. I hate the thought of me cutting myself. So when that thought crossed my mind, I was like, okay, this has to be depression, because I would never think of that in my right mind, and I would never do it. So I was so terrified and petrified of the fact of like people even touching my wrist that at that time I knew I would not do it. From that day, I just got worse and worse and worse and worse, and I got more depressed and more depressed, and it went on for probably 3 weeks, maybe. And I was like, I literally don't know what to do. I don't know how to get out of this. So this is gonna sound dumb, but when you're going through depression, it literally overtakes your mindset. So someone who is depressed, it is not them. They're not their self at that time. It is depression speaking. It is depression doing their actions. It is depression causing their mood swings. It is depression causing them to be tired. It is depression causing them not to want to talk to people. Blame it on depression. So that's like one thing I learned, took away from it. One of the biggest things is you literally are not yourself. I was not Whitney, and I was striving so hard to get her back. I was like, and that sounds so stupid if you've never struggled with it, but if you struggled, you know. I was like, I need to be myself again. I cannot take this any longer. I couldn't. It's like a mental battle constantly. Like you're exhausted. It's like a mental and physical battle every day, 24/7, nonstop. Your thoughts don't stop. Everything keeps coming, and you don't know what else to do. So when someone commits suicide, I think that's how they're feeling. They are feeling like, and when people say they're there for you, they don't hear that. And when I say they don't hear that, they hear it, but it doesn't mean anything in the moment. So let me go back and say, so I finally told someone. So I had told my mom, like after a month, because I would just go to work and I was just doing my routine, but I would cry all day there. I would pray. I would listen to worship music. I was like, I had to get out of this. I started studying my Bible because I thought, okay, maybe I can handle this myself, and me and the Lord can just like do this thing and it could be over with. And I was like, maybe the devil's just testing me. And I don't know. If you're not religious or a Christian, then you probably won't understand this part. But I was like, as a Christian, I don't, like, why would I struggle with this? Which is dumb to say, because when I accepted Christ, nowhere in the Bible does it say you'll not go through anything in this world. You're not invincible. You don't walk through this world and nothing will hurt you. That does not happen. But he says he will always be there. So that's all I knew to do was pray and pray and pray and pray and study and just go through the routine. But now I wouldn't say that I'm glad I went through it, but it has made my testimony greater, and I've been able to help others that are struggling with depression through my testimony. So God has a reason for everything, and that was his purpose for me to go through what I went through. So back to the story, I finally told my mom after a month or so, because I could not take it anymore. I was like, I'm going to go insane. I'm going to go crazy. So I told my mom, and that already made me feel better because someone was aware of it. Someone knew that I was struggling. Someone knew what was going on. And so I feel like that helps them be more understanding of why you just want to lay around or why you're tired. But when I was going through it, yeah, I was tired and stuff, but I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to go to bed alone. I didn't want to be home alone. I didn't want to be anywhere alone. I wanted to be with someone who could talk where I wouldn't have to think. So it didn't stop the thoughts all the way, but it stops them because you're having a conversation, so you're not really thinking about it hard. They're always there, but I'm talking to someone, someone's in the room, I'm interacting with them. So that helped me to tell someone and talk about it. And then I done some research on how I could help myself overcome depression by myself and naturally without medication. And one was to journal. So I've always loved to write anyway. So I went to the store and I got a journal and I wrote down things that triggered it, when it happened, the timeline, my life timeline of all the tragedies that's happened in my life or big events that could have started this cycle and everything. And that also helped because it was on paper and it made me feel better because it wasn't all up here. So talking to someone and writing it got it off my mind and on paper, and someone else knew, and it was helpful, very helpful. So that literally went on for, it felt like an eternity. I don't even know how long. I couldn't tell you how long. It felt forever. It felt like forever. And then finally it switched off and I started progressing again. And the only thing I could think that triggered it that time was I was on a floor where patients are not, yes, I work in the NICU, but there's a lot of good outcome in the NICU. And the floor I was on, I didn't usually work on, and there was really sick kids, and I didn't know what their outcome was. I wasn't an expert on the floor I was on, so it hit me hard, and I started thinking, what if I was struggling with that? What would I do? Would I want my family to keep on for me, or I want to just die or kill myself or something? And so I think that's what triggered it the second time. So the first time it was the medication, the second time it was that. And I have worked on that floor since after being a little bit more educated on it, and it hasn't been triggered. So that was the last time that my depression got triggered, and those were the things that helped me. So if you are a Christian, this little portion right here is going to be for you, or it has to do with scripture in the Bible. So in 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 7 and 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 12 and 13, and then John chapter 16 verse 33. So that's all good scripture to read that just gives us hope and reassurance that God is always there, and it's adding to our testimony and making us stronger in faith, and so we can go out and help others that are struggling with it. And then also that God never promised that when we accepted Him that we would be perfect, but He promised He would always be there for us. So now back on, so that was all the scripture I wanted to say, but back onto the topic of signs and symptoms. So if you suspect that anyone's dealing with depression, or if you think yourself is dealing with depression, here's a few signs and symptoms to look for. Irritability, that's a big one. If they, and there's a lot of things that can cause irritability, but if they get mad easy, or they just get frustrated or overwhelmed easily, I know I did. I was always angry, because I was you don't understand, and I don't want to tell you, but I'm struggling with this so hardcore that I can't even think straight. And so I was so irritable all the time. So that's one sign or symptom to look for. Overeating or undereating, that's a big thing. I'm usually an undereater naturally, but just because I have so many digestive issues. So when I was struggling with depression, I overate and I gained weight. So I went from 125 to 140 real quick. Oversleeping or undersleeping does not make sense, but if they want to sleep a lot or they don't sleep at all, that could be signs. I know different people struggle different ways. And then while I was struggling with it, I would sometimes just want to sleep, because when you're asleep, your mind's not thinking, and so the thoughts stop and you can actually rest. But then sometimes the thoughts are just there and they won't go away, so that you won't sleep at all. So those are some good things to look for as well. Being very self-critical, oh, I can't have this because I may gain weight, or I can't do this because blah, blah, blah. I look horrible. I hate the way I look. Let me change my hair. Maybe it'll look better. Or let me do this and it will look better. Obviously, some people have natural self-criticism, but if it's extreme, that's a sign to look for. Loss of energy if they just want to lay around, they don't want to do anything, they don't want to go out to family get-togethers, they don't want to go hang out with friends. That's another thing to look for. Weight loss or weight gain, that kind of goes with the undereating or overeating as well. And then obsessive thoughts, that's something you can check yourself with. Overthinking and obsessive thoughts, those two things, someone's not going to really know because thoughts are in your head and you're not speaking them. And then overthinking, you're the only one thinking in your mind, like no one else knows what you're thinking. So those are things to look for. Some things that can help if you're struggling with depression: if you are a Christian, reading the Bible and praying helps a ton. You may not feel like it's helping in the moment, but over time it will help. Psalms chapter 40 verse 1 through 3, and then chapter 34 verse 17 of Psalms, and then Deuteronomy 31:8 are also nice scriptures to read if you're struggling with depression. Sorry, I knew I said I was done with scripture, but I just found that I had some more to tell you guys. So I said prayer, knowing that there is hope. I struggled with depression and I'm still here, and I'm happy now. In the phase that I went through, it's over. Not to say it won't ever come back, because I feel like that's a misunderstood too when it comes to depression. It's not something that comes and then goes away forever. Sometimes it can, but sometimes it can be here, be gone, be here, be gone, be here, be gone. So sometimes it can change with weather, sometimes it could change when things happen in life. So just know that there is hope, like you're not alone, and there's acceptance. Because like I said, a lot of people didn't know that I was going through it. But then when people would say, well, I have someone struggling with this, or I'm struggling with this, I'd be like, okay, well, I have too. And now I'm not even ashamed to tell people. Like, if it comes up in a conversation, and I'm like, yeah, I struggled with that. Or I like to say I struggle with that, because the battle's never over for me. Like, mine just switches on and off. So I do struggle with that, and I'm not ashamed to say anymore, like, because a lot of people go through it. And making people aware also helps, because they can, if they notice something, they can be like, hey, like, are you okay? I see that you're struggling and this has changed, and I know that you struggled with this in the past. What can I do to help you, or is there anything that I can help you with? Surround yourself with people that you care about and people that are uplifting. So I always, like I said, I always want to be around my family or friends that I knew cared about me, because that helped me. And then I like to be around people who are positive and uplifting, because you're being negative because you're depressed and you don't see any positive in life at that moment. So if you surround yourself with people that are negative as well, the outcome might not be too great. I'm not saying if you're depressed, do not be friends with other people that are depressed, because that's not true either, because you guys can help each other. But I would like to say, just try to surround yourself with some people that are positive, because that can help you mentally. Avoid being alone for long periods of time. I know that if you're an adult, that's going to be hard. If you live alone, that's going to be hard. But I couldn't stand to be alone when I was depressed, and I could imagine other people feel that way. And if you have like a kid and you think they're struggling, just think, when you're alone, it's just you and your thoughts, you and your actions. So anything could happen. Like, if a thought crosses their mind, like I said, it literally overtakes you. So even though you knew them before depression, they're not the person they were before you knew them at that time. So don't say they will never kill themselves, they will never cut themselves, they will never do any of that, because you don't know, because they are not who they were. Journal, like I said, that helped me a ton. So just get a notebook and a pen and just write it out. I went to the dollar store on the way home from work, and I got a hot pink pen and got some hot pink notebook and some neon pens, because the colors helped me, brought up my mood a little bit. So I didn't want to get like white pens and a black notebook, because that would just bring my vibe down. So I got some bright stuff, because this is uplifting colors. And then go to a therapist. If I hadn't opened up to my mom, I would have had to go to a therapist, because I wouldn't have talked to anyone, and it would not have gotten better. I still debate on going for my anxiety sometimes, and then what if depression comes back, I will probably go. It's just hard. Taking that first step in going and to initiate an appointment at a therapist is terrifying, and I understand. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to go to the appointment. You might schedule it a few times and cancel it and not go. Or, that's possible. but you just need to talk to someone, and they're professionals. They're trained on how to deal with this, so I encourage you to go to that. And if you see to a therapist, and if you see someone that you think is struggling with it, maybe if you know of a therapist, or if you've went through this, open up to them about it if you feel comfortable, and tell them, hey, I have this therapist if you want to go there and see them. And then do not bury it. Do not just keep saying, I don't need to tell anyone it's going to be okay. I don't need to tell anyone it's going to be okay. It's going to build up, and it's going to build up, and it's going to build up, and it's going to meet the very top, and that's where things don't go so well. So don't do that. Do not bury it. Another thing that can help is discover your triggers. What makes your depression worse? So when I figured, I wrote stuff down on what made my depression worse, and I avoided them for a period of time, then slowly reintroduced those things into my life, and that helped a lot. So once I avoided them all, I would introduce one thing, if there were small things like a day or a week, and slowly the things that I was avoiding that was causing depression was not causing depression anymore. When should you seek help? I say as soon as you notice your symptoms, you should seek help. I wouldn't wait, because you don't want it to get worse than it is, and you don't want it to get so bad that you feel like nothing can help. So if you start noticing signs and symptoms, please reach out for help. If you're not struggling with this, or if you've never been with this, but you're a family member or a friend of someone that is dealing with this, or you think is dealing with this, let them know that you care. They feel alone no matter what you say, but say it anyway. So that's my motto when someone comes to me with depression. I'm like, I understand words mean nothing to you right now, and what I'm saying means nothing in this moment. But once depression's over and you win the battle with it, you'll look back and you'll be like, they mean it. They meant what they said. They do care. They are there for me. And I have this person that I can count on and depend on. So say it anyway. If you notice their triggers, help them overcome them. So if you notice that they get around a certain person or a certain room, or sometimes mine was a certain smell, because if one of my ex's colognes happened to come by, it would trigger mine. So if you notice that on someone, maybe say, hey, I noticed that this caused you to shut down and pull yourself back a little bit from the situation. I understand, next time I will not do this, or I won't wear this, or I won't bring you around this, things like that. If they reach out to you, know you're probably the person they trust the most in their life. Feel honored, because it's a big step for them to reach out and say anything about it, because depression tells you not to. It says to keep it all in, that it's okay and you can do it yourself, or that no one cares and no one wants to listen, and if you tell them, they're just going to blow it off and say, okay, whatever, or they'll think you're lying, they'll think you're dramatic, they'll think you're trying to get attention, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. So feel honored, because that's hard, and they must trust you a ton. But if they don't open up about it, and you notice that they're struggling with it, or they may be struggling with it, just try to encourage treatment based on what you've noticed. Some people might be resentful towards it, or might deny it, because I denied it for a long time. But the least you can do is just try to help. Don't let them be alone. This gives them, like I said earlier, it gives them time to think, and it gives them time to do. Be patient. Patience is a really good thing. Now, if they say they're going to kill themselves, don't be patient. Don't wait for the right time to seek help for them. You need to take care of that right then. But if they are being slow on telling you what's going on, or slowly opening up, be patient. Because like I said, it takes a lot of courage to even open up to anyone. So if you're thinking of harming yourself or committing suicide, avoid things that make you think of self-harm and suicide. So mine was shaving my legs. I would think of cutting myself because of the razor. But maybe it's pills, maybe it's a gun, maybe it's a knife, maybe it is a razor blade, maybe it's this, or maybe it's a rope. Whatever it is, try to avoid it. If you live with someone, or someone you can trust can keep those items that you have until you get better, then that is something to think about as well. But like I said, also if you're thinking this, you should seek help, and then they can help you get the help you need to avoid these things. Oh, another thing that triggered mine, that is true, was movies and YouTube. So I cut out YouTube completely for a while because watching YouTube and seeing everyone's happy lives on here was like, I started criticizing my life. It was depressed even more because I was like, why can't I be that happy? Why can't my life be like this? And comparing myself to them, when in all honesty, they only put the good out there, most channels, instead of seeing all the bad things they go through. So I should not have compared myself to it in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but I did, so I avoided it completely. I'm really into action movies, but I avoided that because there was a lot of killing and murders and suicides and things in there, and I knew that if I watched those, it would trigger my thoughts, so I avoided those as well. Like I said, contact someone immediately if you're even thinking about self-harm or suicide. My mom's a stay-at-home mom, so she was always with me if I wasn't at work with someone, so she was basically my therapist per se, so I didn't seek professional help. But if I ever got to the point, I would like to think, if I ever got to that point of not having someone or thinking of killing myself, I would even go to a professional rather than my mom. If you have found someone you trust, tell them, like I said, what items or things make it worse, and they can help you remove those things from your life. And then if you're thinking of the things, you can call the suicide hotline. The number is 1-800-273-8255, and there's someone there that's available 24/7 to talk to you and help you through with what you're going through. So to sum this video up, I just want to say things that to remember is you're not alone. I thought forever, I was like, there's not a lot of people going through this, no one can, I can't relate with anyone, so I'm just going to stay quiet, but that's not true. There's so many people struggling with it at the same time you are that you probably pass on a daily basis. So you're not alone. You're not. A lot of people, like I said, did not know this about me until I made this video. So now that I've made this video, even more people are going to be aware that I have struggled with it, and I'm okay with it. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Since I've had my last depression episode, as I like to call it, I've met over a dozen people who were struggling with depression, or they had a family member that was struggling with it, and I was able to talk to them on things that helped me from like an outside person, things that helped me, and things that like did not help me or made it worse. It's okay to not be okay. That's such a great motto to live by. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be mad. It's okay. It really is okay to not be okay. I don't care if you're the richest person on earth. I don't care if you're the happiest person on earth. I don't care if you're the biggest celebrity ever. Everyone has struggles. They're not all the same, but everyone struggles, and it's okay. And if you think that no one cares about you, and no one loves you, and you don't matter, and you're just done, and you're ready, just end it, know that, like I said, I know words don't mean anything, but you are loved, and if not by anyone, by me, I do care. I care because I know what it feels like. I know like the pain, I know the struggle, I know the exhaustion that you're feeling, and I know that you feel like you're just done. You're done. But I do care. And you matter. You matter to me. You matter to someone whether you know it or not. If you want to share your story, or if you need someone, or you just want to reach out to someone, my Instagram is linked down below. You can DM me and I will talk to you. I'm just so saddened and heavy-hearted because of everyone who's like taking their life to depression. It's not fair that depression's winning this many lives. It's just not. It shouldn't be happening, but it's happening, and we have to come together. It has to end. I was talking to my dad about it, and he was like, I'm sure that depression was just as big back in the days or a few years back as it is now, but it wasn't it didn't make the news. And maybe that's true, but I feel like so many young people are just taking their life nowadays. And sometimes it's because of bullying, sometimes it's because of a breakup, sometimes it's because just the way they feel. Sometimes it's maybe something else that they went through in life. Maybe they've lost someone they loved or something like that to death or suicide. But it just hurts me because I hate that. Because I know the feeling of being alone, like no one cares. But now that I've overcame that depression for the moment, I know that people care and people are there for me. And if I had taken my life, it would have affected more people than just me. It would have hurt so many people, and who knew? Like, if I had committed suicide, it could have led someone else in my family to commit suicide because they would have been going crazy because of what I did or been thinking about it. So it's not worth it, although it seems like the way out at this time. I know it feels like it's the only answer to your problems, and it feels like that's all that can help, but it's not true. That's depression speaking. It's not true. I encourage you to reach out, call that hotline, message me, go to the hospital. If you think you can wait and schedule an appointment with a therapist, schedule an appointment with a therapist or psychologist. Just seek help, because it does get better. It will get better. This is not the end. Love you guys.